Welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Uyai Anyekan, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari to attend Liberia's 175th independence anniversary today. NECO deploys software for effective grading. Plus, Ukrainian officials hopeful grain exports could resume this week despite Russian missile strikes. We will bring you details of the stories and more in a moment. First in our news today is a report that President Muhammadu Buhari is in Liberia to attend the country's 175th independence anniversary celebrations. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Gabriel Shehu, disclosed this in a statement, saying President Buhari, who will be the special guest of honor at the event, will join other world leaders and the organizations to rejoice with the people of Liberia at the event. Reports say after participating in the independence program, Buhari is expected back in the country later in the day. Recall that Nigeria played a leading role in the stabilization of the West African nation in the early 90s, leading to the establishment of democratic rule, and has continued to assist the country in many ways, especially through the Technical Aid Corps scheme. Accompanying the president on his trip are the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, and Director General, National Intelligence Agency, NIA, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai Abubakar. In the legislature, a bill seeking to include teaching against breast and cervical cancer into the curriculum of all senior secondary schools in Nigeria has gone through second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill, which is sponsored by the Chairman House Committee on Healthcare Services, Tanko Sununu, and co-sponsored by the Chairman House Committee on Basic Education, Professor Julius Ihonveri, is part of the OCI Foundation's Our Youth, AROY anti-cancer health campaign, an initiative targeting youth in Nigerian senior secondary schools, and the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC. Already in partnership with Nigeria's NYSC, the OCI Foundation is annually delivering the same anti-cancer campaign to hundreds of thousands of Nigerian fresh graduate youth corps members in all the 37 NYSC orientation camps in Nigeria. The Aroy Health Campaign enjoys the support of the First Lady, Aisha Buhari, whose NGO, the Future Assured Foundation, is partnering with the OCI Foundation on the bill. In education, the National Examinations Council, NECO, has deployed cutting-edge software to ensure efficient grading of students and candidates in its various examinations. The Registrar and Chief Executive of NECO, Professor Dantani Wushishi, stated this in a press statement issued to mark his 1 year in office. Speaking of the new grading system, Wushishi, who listed several achievements recorded since assuming office, said the software would ensure precise grade value for every subject. He said one of the innovations that will bring to bear in the conduct of the examination is how to determine the grade number, which relates to the allocation of grades for various subjects to students. He also lamented that the initial placement of NECO on the list of ministries, departments, and agencies that remit 25% of generated revenue to government coffers took a toll on the exam body's activities. In the meantime, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) is holding a protest across the country amid the prolonged strike by university workers. While the demonstration is expected to take place in all 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) says it will join the protest tomorrow, Wednesday. Recall that the university workers, including members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU), Senior Staff Association of Universities (SANU), and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities (NASU), among others, had gone on strike since February 14 for various reasons, including the adoption of the Integrated Personnel Payroll Information System (IPPIS) of the government as the payment system in the university sector. Reacting to the disturbing situation in the university sector, the NLC faulted the federal government over its handling of the industrial action that have grounded activities in public institutions. It also called on the government to pay the salaries of the striking workers, which it said had since been frozen on the premise of the so-called no work, no pay policy. Meanwhile, the police and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps says it will deploy personnel in critical infrastructure and facilities in response to the nationwide protest. The NSCDC spokesperson Shola Odumosu says armed and unarmed personnel would be on ground to protect the protesters and Nigerians.
It's not solidarity protest. Don't put it solidarity. It's a protest by NLC for ourselves, because all the affiliate unions and their members are members of NLC. We have taken three levels of decision. Okay. First is the protest, which is going to be national. Okay. After the protest is 3 days national warning strike. If it fails, then we'll go perpetual. That is the decision of our National Executive Council. And therefore, I think what will even be very helpful is for them to look at the timeline that we have set for those issues to be sorted out. Already out of even 2 weeks they proposed, 1 week have gone. And I've not seen anything on the table to try to resolve the issue. We are optimistic that they should be willing this time around, because we are also willing to get our children back to school.
Away from that, troops of the 7 Guards Brigade, which provides security for the Presidential Villa and the Federal Capital Territory FCT, have reportedly been attacked by gunmen suspected to be terrorists. Reports say that they were ambushed while on patrol along the Buhari Road in the nation's capital. A spokesperson for the Guards Brigade, Captain Godfrey Akpapa, confirmed the incident, noting that the attack was successfully repelled by the troops. Captain Akpapa said a few of the men who were wounded in action have been taken to a hospital where they were receiving treatment, adding that the troops were combing the general area to get rid of criminals who have been threatening the area. He advised residents of Abuja to go about their lawful businesses and keep cooperating with the military by providing timely information to enable them curb the activities of the criminals. In the meantime, terrorists have released 3 victims of 62 hostages of the abducted Abuja-Kaduna train passengers on March 28th. Reports say the victims, who consist of 2 males and a female, were released by the terrorists at a location inside the forest along the Kaduna-Abuja highway. From there, they were picked up by their relatives. So far, 22 victims have regained their freedom. It is, however, not clear if any money was paid to the terrorists to release these abducted victims. With the release of the 3 victims, the number of those still in captivity now remains at 40. Recall that gunmen had on March 28 blown up the rail track, killing some and abducting scores of passengers on Sunday. The terrorists released a viral video where they were seen flogging their hostages. They also threatened to abduct President Buhari and Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. In another development, the Nigerian Union of Pensioners NUP Ekiti State Chapter has threatened to approach the court to compel the State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi to pay their outstanding benefits before the expiration of his tenure in October. The NUP chairman Joel Akinola, while addressing journalists at a press conference in Ado Ekiti, said that was the outgoing government's announced plans for payment of entitlements of all sacked political aides. The backlog of emoluments of the pensioners should be prioritized in due time. Akinola revealed that an aggregate of 587 pensioners are either dead or bedridden, owing to infirmity suffered as a result of the inability to get the required treatment for their ailments. The chairman said the union had put its lawyers on notice over the alleged shabby treatment being meted out to them, and that they might resort to litigation if their issues were not resolved expeditiously. On electoral matters, according to information displayed by the Independent National Electoral Commission, no fewer than 18 political parties are set to contest the governorship election in Sokoto State. Reports say 2 political parties are fielding 2 female deputy governorship candidates for the first time. They include Hannatu Muta, who is the deputy governorship candidate on the platform of the Action People's Party, and Hawa Bello, who is the running mate on the platform of Allied People's Movement. Reports say apart from the candidates of All Progressive Congress and People's Democratic Party, which has Saidu Umar and Ahmed Aliyus Sokoto, other political parties have also fielded their candidates for the election. In Africa, South Africa has officially requested the extradition of two Gupta brothers currently in the United Arab Emirates on charges of money laundering and fraud. South African Justice Minister Ronald Lamola said Atul Gupta and Rashash Gupta, commonly known as the Gupta brothers, are accused persons in two criminal matters by the United Arab Emirates. Reports say the brothers were arrested in Dubai in June of 2022 on the basis of an Interpol red notice launched by the Pretoria. They are accused of having looted the country with the complicity of former President Jacob Zuma. The Guptas are notably accused of having influenced for a decade the appointments of heads of public companies and ministers and diverted contracts worth several billions. Director of National Prosecuting Authority in South Africa, Shamila Bathui, has assured that the ID Investigative Directorate is working extremely well with relevant stakeholders to ensure that all the cases have the necessary resources and good support from the Department of Justice, adding that the extradition could take several months.
The matter relating to the Gupta brothers, the United Arab Emirates, Mr. Atul Kumar Gupta and Mr. Rajay Kumar Gupta, the Gupta, commonly known as the Gupta brothers, are accused persons in two criminal matters.
Ensuring that all the cases have the necessary resources. We've had good support from the Department of Justice. We're working very, very well. The ID is working extremely well now with relevant.
Away from that, Tunisians have voted to approve a draft constitution a year to the day after President Said sacked the government and froze parliament. Numbers released by the electoral authorities suggest turnout was 27.5% out of 9.3 million registered voters. President of the Electoral Authority, Farouk Bouska, announced that this is an approximate percentage, which will certainly increase, taking into consideration that there are polling stations that still receive voters. Observers claim that turnout was higher than expected, showing that Said continues to enjoy personal popularity almost 3 years into his mandate. On the foreign scene, the United States is preparing for China's angry responses over its support for Taiwan, a self-governing island that Beijing claims as its own territory. Last week, China warned against a potential high-stakes trip by U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taipei. Following reports of Pelosi's plans, China's foreign ministry has reportedly vowed to take resolute and forceful measures against the U.S. government. U.S. President Joe Biden has told reporters that the U.S. military thinks a Taiwan visit by Pelosi is not a good idea right now. However, Pelosi said it's important to show support for Taiwan but declined to discuss any travel plans, citing security. Although China has not disclosed why forceful measures it is planning to take, some Chinese experts say Beijing's reaction could involve a military component, as the situation between China and the U.S. will be very tense. Away from that, Ukrainian officials are hopeful that grain exports would resume this week, despite Russian missile strikes that hit the southern port of Odessa on Saturday, just one day after Kyiv and Moscow agreed a deal to allow shipments. U.S. officials said they were deeply concerned by the Odessa attack and are working with Ukraine on a plan B to get grain exports out of the country. Ukrainian officials say they are confident of progress on the battlefield in southern region of Kherson, as strikes against its Russian command post and ammunition depots impede the invading forces' defensive capabilities. Reports say Russia and Turkey will use military naval forces to escort vessels carrying Ukrainian grain through the Black Sea into the borough ports. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said in Egypt as he tours Africa to rally support for Moscow. Still to come in the news. Nigeria finished 18th on medals table at Oregon 2022. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. In the business news, the inauguration of Nigeria National Petroleum Company NNPC Limited is one of the significant events of the year. The new phase came with promises of transparency, accountability, responsibility, and profit sustainability. The commercial-oriented and profit-driven entity to be audited annually will be independent, although government bodies would be shareholders. Just like Saudi Aramco, its Saudi Arabian counterpart NNPC Limited is expected to go public and give returns and investment to domestic and global investors. Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) is now at the center of global oil business. The unveiling of NNPC Limited by President Muhammadu Buhari is the high point. It's the high point of this year's planning and decision-making to make NNPC a more commercially viable private entity with greater transparency and impact on the lives of the people. As a commercial venture, NNPC is expected to strengthen the capacity and market relevance of the oil industry and align it to global best practices. Still in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has disbursed 68.13 billion naira to beneficiaries under its 100 for 100 policy on production and productivity since the commencement of the intervention. According to the bank, the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele disclosed this in Lagos after the last monetary policy committee meeting, noting that the bank has released 9.98 billion naira for 5 projects, bringing the cumulative disbursement under the intervention to 68.13 billion naira for 48 projects, comprising 26 in manufacturing, 17 in agriculture, 3 in healthcare, and 2 in the services sector. According to the guidelines for the implementation of the initiative, the CBN fixed the maximum loan amount that a participant could get at 5 billion naira. The Apex Bank said the initiative would be implemented in collaboration with relevant stakeholders with a focus on micro and macroeconomic impacts. In terms of contribution to GDP and exports, sustainable jobs created, local content development, production output, and capacity utilization and integration into global value chain. In health, the federal government has said it has developed a national strategic framework for eliminating viral hepatitis in the country by 2030. The federal government said the framework is in line with the global health sector strategy for viral hepatitis control. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja in commemoration of the 2022 World Hepatitis Day, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, said Nigeria is one of the first countries to have achieved this in a short time. Ehanire said nearly 20 million people are infected with hepatitis B or C. According to him, viral hepatitis remains a public health threat, especially hepatitis B and C, which cause chronic infection with attendant morbidity and mortality. He, however, said despite the significant rates of infection, there is very low awareness about the infection and called on Nigerians to get tested. Still in health, about 150 women's rights and civil society organizations have urged the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to lift the suspension of the state's guidelines on safe termination of pregnancy for legal indications issued by the Directorate of Family Health and Nutrition in the Ministry of Health. Recall that the Lagos State Governor had on the 8th of July 2022 directed the suspension of the state's guidelines on safe termination of pregnancy for legal indications issued by the Directorate of Family Health and Nutrition in the Health Ministry. Sanwo-Olu had said that the new guidelines will not be implemented until adequate deliberation. Before that, the Lagos State government had on June 29, 2022, presented and launched the 40-page policy document titled Lagos State Guidelines on Safe Termination of Pregnancy for Legal Indicators to set out guidelines for safe termination of pregnancy within the ambit of the criminal law of Lagos State. However, making the call on the Lagos State Governor at a press briefing organized by the Women's Advocates Research and Documentation Center, the women's group said 10% of the global maternal death rates comes from unsafe abortions in Nigeria, making it the second leading cause of maternal mortality in the country. Speaking on behalf of the women's group and CSOS, Executive Director of WADEC, Dr. Abiola Akinyode Afolabi, noted that the guidelines seek to save women from preventable deaths.
What the guideline is doing is to ensure that termination of pregnancy is professionally standardized and regulated. And that if we do not do this, just as we have had a very bad record of quite a number of people, particularly teenagers, young women who die as a result of unsafe abortion, we will continue to have this bad record of deaths that we see on daily basis.
There are all the issues that are existing. It's just a compilation of all these issues that are in the document so that it can be standardized across board, and also for new medical practitioners coming into on board will know the cases in which pregnancy can be terminated.
In sports, President Muhammadu Buhari has celebrated winner of the women's 100 meters hurdles gold at the World Athletics Championship 2022, Tobi Amusan, thanking her for promoting Nigeria's image on world stage. Also, the president congratulated another Nigerian star at the event, Ese Brume, who won the silver medal in the women's long jump event. In a statement issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the president said the achievements of the stars would encourage upcoming athletes to aspire higher. Recall that Amusan on Sunday in Oregon, USA, became the first Nigerian to win a gold medal as she powered over the line at Hayward Field in 12 minutes 6 seconds at the final of the women's 100 meters hurdle. Former 100 meters hurdle world champion Jamaican Danielle Williams has described Tobia Musan world record and gold medal at the 2022 World Athletics Championship in Oregon, USA as amazing, adding victory for the Nigerian population after near past misses showed her stellar performance. Meanwhile, Team Nigeria has ended their campaign at the 2022 World Athletics Championships in Oregon, USA in 18th place out of 43 countries which participated. Reports say that Tobia Musan's record-breaking performance in the 100 meters hurdles and Ese Brume's impressive effort in the women's long jump ensured Nigeria finished on a high note. Team Nigeria would go on to celebrate another podium finish in the long jump with Ese Brume's extraordinary effort. The victory for the team also meant Nigeria finished as the 4th best African team at the championships behind Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda. The US ended the competition with a total of 33 medals, more than 3 times as many as any other country in the competition and more than any single country has ever won at a world championship. In entertainment, Big Brother has introduced a new title known as Tale of House for the Big Brother Niger Season 7. Biggie announced the title during the Head of House games on Monday evening at the arena. Before the games, which brought Level 1 and Level 2 housemates together for the first time. According to Biggie, the worst performing housemate during the games would be crowned Tale of the House. Biggie also noted that the position comes with special rewards and responsibilities. Still on entertainment, a Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal sitting in Abuja has fixed September 6th for judgment in a suit filed against MultiChoice, the operators of GoTV and DSTV, over the recent price hike on their products and subscription rates. The tribunal, headed by Thomas Okosin, fixed the date on Monday after counsel for the parties presented their arguments for and against the matter. The lawyer in the latest originating summons is suing the firm, the operators of DSTV and GoTV, for 10 million naira damages. Onifade, in the amended originating summons dated June 17th but filed June 20th, also sought the order of tribunal directing and mandating MultiChoice to adopt a pay-as-you-go view model of billing for all its products and services forthwith. The respondents had prayed the tribunal for an order restraining the firm from increasing its services and other products on April 1st, pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice dated and filed on March 30th. And the tribunal granted the ex parte motion directing parties to maintain status quo ante bellum. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Uyai Aniekan. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your day.